And remember when the president said this the other day?
And as long as I'm president, we will not walk away from the promise of clean energy.
Now he's saying this.
Obviously, we wish Cylinder hadn't gone bankrupt, but understand this was not our program per se.
The marketing guru who says the mixed messages could make Americans even cooler to investing in solar energy. On the show that never leaves you guessing, right now. All right, now this is getting kind of weird because the president is sending not only mixed messages on his green message, but different messages. Early in the week, he said this.
As long as I'm president, we will not walk away from the promise of clean energy.
Juxtapose this.
Obviously, we wish Cylinder hadn't gone bankrupt. Part of the reason they did was because the Chinese were subsidizing their solar industry and flooding the market in ways that Cylinder couldn't compete. But understand, this was not our program per se.
You know, this whole weight thing of mine, it's a thyroid. Just a thyroid. Incredible. Not your program, Mr. President. Look, that's fine. That's fine. But I think this was you visiting Cylinder back in May of 2010. I know it was President Bush who was looking at green technology possibilities, but his people looked at Cylinder and said, you know what? Better not do it. We got Jeffrey Hazlett here. Of course, that was his dad, but I can't do Bush the son. But what do you make of this?
That was a good impression of nothing else.
The son, I would just give.
But this whole Cylinder thing, isn't it? It's been around now for a couple of months. We've been seeing it. Does it have a gate designation yet? That's what I want to know.
You know, now, look, if you're going to go with the turkey, you might as well run with the turkey and say, look, I still think we're going to resurrect the turkey. But now to say not only it's turkey, it's not my turkey.
Well, now it's not a turkey. It's a chicken. I mean, he's backing way off. In fact, what we're seeing right now is the president going, Mr. Flip, meet Mr. Flop. And that's what we're seeing. And voters don't buy this. They never have and never will.
Here's why, though. And I'm not taking this against because we catch this with Republicans, too. But we have this thing called videotape. Yeah. And what we do is we go back to it. And we hear your words when you're saying this is the second coming. And then all of a sudden, when now you're divorcing yourself, well, truth be told, it was actually the prior administration. Then we have this thing called research. We have a whole crew that does this. And goes back in time to the timeline with Cylinder, where they're quite right to say the Bush administration was looking at some green investments, but passed on Cylinder because they said, you know what, kind of rocky.
Well, I think this is a case he was trying to claim for jobs. He wanted to get the jobs moving, so he was trying to claim credit. Then the thing went south when it goes south, and that's the thing that people hate about Washington. You know, they say about politicians, you want to tell when they're, telling the truth or when they're lying every time they open their mouth. And this is one of those things where these guys are wishy-washy, backpedaling, not telling the truth.
Well, you're a communications expert. What would be the harm in really just saying, I goofed?
Well, that's what you should do.
This was when I was wrong. The most endearing thing I heard from this president is when it was a flippant comment. He says, shovel ready wasn't exactly shovel ready.
Absolutely.
And, he said it in a kidding way, but I kind of, well, hello.
Well, I think that's absolutely what you should do. His last campaign theme was hope. He's not going to be able to use the word trust in this campaign theme if he keeps this up. And people talked about, in fact, I got this with Twitter and Facebook today. Could I ask people what they thought about it? And they just said, what about staying on message? Why not just tell the truth? And I actually pulled his cred score because I wanted to see if this is resonating. The lawyers are the ones that he's getting the most pull from, not the sustainability crowd. So it's not even flying with the crowd that likes him the most. Stay on message. More importantly, stay to the truth, and that's where you should be.
I think Americans are very forgiving people. If you screw up or something, I think they'll just move on. You can't keep screwing up. I'm not saying, there's only so many times you can apologize. But I do think that it does get old, the constant.
Before long, that catches up to him, and that's what's going to happen here. And you can't keep doing it.
You're right. But by the way, it is a thyroid. It is otherwise.
It's too many. It's too many of those Criscos from Bennigan.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Otherwise, I'd look like Benny, my floor director. The guy's in perfect shape. Eats like a pig. Away from the camera, he's just. Anyway, you want more proof that tax hikes don't work?